Good evening, good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
How is everybody tonight? How is everybody? Welcome to Marital Motivation
With the Mackies.
with the Mackies. Hey, we just want to give everybody an opportunity to chime in, everybody to go ahead and share the live stream. Please follow us on Facebook. You can click the subscribe button on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram. We would love to hear from you. At this time, we are going to talk about being supportive in a marriage.
That looks like in a marriage.
Absolutely, what it looks like in a marriage. So we hope we bless you today. What you wanna start with? Anything in particular, my love? You wanna shout out anybody? Oh, yes. Let's shout out some folks today. We had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to be featured on another podcast called Around the Island.
Hey,
Table
family.
Talk. Yes. So that was a wonderful opportunity.
It was.
I really enjoyed ourselves, but it is coming to you soon. May 1st. We want to plug them. Just like-minded people in the body of Christ doing things for God.
Absolutely. They just want to pour into marriages and just help encourage and build other couples in marriage. We absolutely had a wonderful time with them. Can't wait for them to just explode, because that's what I believe is getting ready to happen with that ministry. So support them. Around the Island.
Yes, Around the Island Table Talk.
Table Talk.
Yes. So again, share the broadcast, share the stream, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, TikTok. Follow us on those platforms. But let's go ahead and get into it, babe. We're going to have this conversation tonight. Want to just talk about what it looks like to be supportive in a marriage. So for me, because I'm a teacher at heart, I always have to do a little studying or a lot of studying, or I end up going down the rabbit hole, or I looked up one thing and then I just keep going and going. But I had this idea of what being supportive meant. And the definition of being supportive is offering encouraging words. Basically, that's all it is. Lifting up someone and offering them encouraging words. And the thing I thought about was, I think that's a real misconception in a lot of couples, because we say we want people to be supportive, but where the challenge comes in is when you don't agree with something, but you're still trying to be supportive. So that's the conflict, because I can not agree with you and be your support. And I use the word support because support is different than supportive. Supportive is just encouraging words, encouraging somebody, lifting them up. But being support is taking on the weight, being that person to hold them up. So there's a difference in being a support in a marriage and being supportive in a marriage.
Yeah, I agree. And when you came back and shared that definition with me, I was like, wow, that's a big difference. The first thing that comes to my mind when you say the word support, I think of a support beam. Like in a house, when a house is built, there's that support beam that holds the weight of the house. And if that beam is out of place,
or not strong, or deteriorating,
might have some issues behind that.
You might have a ceiling fall out. So
to say the least.
But that actually is a good point, because I watch a lot of HGTV. I love home building. I love decorating. I love remodeling. I love all that stuff. I'm a creative. So one of the things when it made me think about is marriage is like a home. It's like a house. We're building this house, but we're each different individuals coming into this house. And let's say we have certain walls here and certain walls there, and you want to open up the floor plan. And God may be giving something to you, and he's trying to expand you and open up your floor plan. And I've got to be that support beam to hold the weight so that you can move this wall and move that wall and change things around in a marriage. And I think that people just really don't think about how important it is to be a support in a marriage, because imagine all the things that you can accomplish if you have somebody that's there on your side,
Yeah.
somebody that's holding you up. I know that I would not be the man that I am now or have gone as far as I've gone without this woman right here. This woman has been a support to me since day one, even before we got married. You know, she's always been a supportive person. You've always spoke words of affirmation. You've always lifted me up. But even when you don't agree with decisions that I make, and we talk about everything, we talk it out, you know, and being supportive and submissive, those things are kind of intertwined. But you know, we might say that for another day, or we may jump into it tonight. That's a whole nother topic. But one thing for me is just like, I know the insecurities I have. I know the things that I was scared to do in life. And having a helpmeet, having a woman that's supportive and supporting me when I make decisions gives me confidence. So think about all the things that you can accomplish in your marriage, in your life, when you have that right person in the right phase being supportive to you and being a support. I'm trying not to use those words intertwining,
Right,
but interchangeably. But when you have a wife that is a support system to you, you will go far. If you have a husband that's a support system to you, you will go further than you ever could by yourself.
Right. Yeah. Even scripturally, you know, it talks about the two, having two, because if one falls, then the other one is there to pull them up. So, you know, even scripturally, the Bible talks about that. So I agree, you know, absolutely 100% that my husband has been a support to me, and he is always very supportive of me. I appreciate that. One thing, and if I can use this as an example too,
Say what you want to say, baby.
Recently, you all know we've been very open, you know, about going through counseling and things like that. And so for me, you know, recently I had this aha moment that May was approaching, and May is a hard month for me emotionally. Number one, it's the anniversary of my dad's death. And then number two is Mother's Day. And with both of my parents being gone, you know, May can be a little challenging. And so I was feeling some anxiety just with the month of May approaching. And so with that, I thought I was kind of dealing with everything. I thought I was doing okay, you know, but because my husband does know me very well, he came by and was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." You know, and he walked on past me and went on to do whatever he was doing. And then a little bit later, he comes back again and he goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And I'm like, "Okay, Leslie, stop and do a self-evaluation. What is it that he's seeing that I may not be seeing that I need to deal with?" So saying all that to say, before David left to go to work yesterday, he came by and he said to me, "I just want you to know that I'm here. If you need anything, I love you." Being supportive. In the past, a lot of times what we've done to each other is, instead of being supportive, he became my support. And so I appreciated his words yesterday and him being supportive, because it helped me to understand that if he carries the weight of my trials, or if he carries the weight of my grief, then I never have an opportunity to build up that muscle so that I learn how to stand on my own 2 feet if he always carries the weight. But in this situation, instead of him being my support, he was supportive. And his words brought so much comfort to me, just to know he's not trying to bear the weight, but he wanted me to know just with his words that, "Hey, I'm here. I love you, whatever you need." And so with that, I knew to call my counselor.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I know in the past I have always just put it on my shoulders and keep it moving. And over the years, and through us going through counseling and, you know, dealing with, you know, the different things in our life, I understand every relationship is different and every marriage is different. So what we have to offer is not for everybody, you know, and our experiences are not the same as everyone else's experience. However, as a husband, my role is to be a support for my wife, but understanding that God is the ultimate support system, and that I've got to go to God and be like, look, do I need to take this on? What do you want me to do in this situation? You know, this is your child. This is your daughter that you have just allowed me to be a steward of. You know, this is your jewel. So my thing is, Lord, how do you want me to support her? Do you want me to encourage her? Do you want me to bear the weight? You know, there always pray. That's not even a question, you know, but I'm always praying, but getting that interaction with God to say, okay, no, she's got to grow in this, or she's got to mature in this, or you got to step back and not always be the one to have that safety net out. And, you know, it's all about your relationship with God.
Yeah, because I think so often in marriages, we're so quick to want to be there, even with our children, you know, and in relationships, we immediately want to jump to just do what we feel is best, meaning that we're going out and we have to learn to go up because we can get in the way sometimes with each other. So sometimes being supportive may not be, like you said, to step in and do something. Sometimes being supportive is just to stand back and be there to be my cheerleader. Baby, I love you. I'm here. I got you, you know. And I just was thinking, you know, your love language is words of affirmation. That's one of your love languages, because of course he has to have two, and they're both kind of close.
Difficult?
No,
what?
Not at all. I wouldn't say that. So, but with that though, you know, that's one of the things, you know, I try my best to make a habit out of making sure that I'm saying to you, you know, those encouraging words, because I do believe that that too helps to build you up. It builds your confidence. It builds your faith, you know, just to be reminded, no, God's got you through this. And as God has you through this, I'm here, you know, just to remind you how amazing you are, how much I appreciate you being in my life, how much I know that I would not be the person that I am if God had not brought you into my life. So even with that, I appreciate you asking me to marry you. And thank you for allowing me to say yes. And I can go
She trying to end this
and
broadcast
on
quick,
and
y'all.
on.
We about to end the broadcast. We see y'all
No,
later.
we got some more to say. We got some. You know, but I'm saying all that to say I can go on and on and on and on and building my husband up, because I understand that that's what it takes. You know, not just to pump you up because, oh yeah, you know, but no, I'm not trying to blow your head up, but I want you to really know and understand how much I love and appreciate you.
Oh, ain't she sweet? I love her.
Supportive.
She's supportive. Nah,
really?
You know I'm gonna be silly. I can't help it. Let's see. What's something else? Oh, let's talk about what it looks like to be a support when you don't agree on something.
Phew. Okay.
You have any examples?
Not yet. Let me think for a second.
Let me think. Oh, I thought you was about to rattle them off. I'll start not with just an example, but I think that is a big misconception in marriage, that you always have to agree in order to be a support. Like I said earlier, Leslie and I, we talk about everything. One thing I appreciate about my wife is she says at the end of the day, you are the head of the house. And if you make a decision, she will let me know if she doesn't agree with it or not, but the final decision comes down to me. And not everybody can say that. Not everybody has that kind of relationship. Not everybody can do that. And people will say the decision is yours, but after you make that decision, there's the I told you so's, or, you know, there's the attitude the whole time. There's, you know, all this extra that goes on that's so unnecessary. You know, is God God? You know, so if God is God and God is like, you know, he has everything in control, even if we make a bad decision, he's going to use that decision for our good. And we don't always know. The scripture says we know in part and we see in part, so I may have a piece of the puzzle. And when I move forward in something, she may see something else. And it's like, okay, we can move forward together now. But in the beginning, we may not be on the same page, but that ultimate decision comes down to me. But one thing I can say is she will be a support for me. She will not give me attitude. She will not do any of that stuff. And, well, how can you support somebody if you don't agree? Look, I'll use this analogy because y'all know I love analogies. My wife does not like heights. My wife does not like me to even get on a ladder. I'm that person that will literally run up the ladder, because it's nothing to me. I've done it, 100 times. But as much as she doesn't want me to be on that ladder, if I asked her to hold the ladder, she's going to hold the ladder. She's not going to hold the ladder and say, you going to fall, because then I'm going to fall. So in a marriage, even if you don't agree, you can be a support. You're just holding me up. Catch me when I fall, or if I fall, or keep me from falling, and you may make a decision to start a business and your wife may not be on the same page, or your husband may not be on the same page, but they're there. They're not downgrading you. They're not talking it down. They're not saying that you can't do it. They're like, if you make this decision, I'm gonna ride with you, and I'm gonna be there and make it happen for you. And whether that's providing finance, whether that's just being there when you come home and you had that day where you're questioning whether you made the right decision, and they're just there to be that listening ear, but not what's the word I'm looking for? Not when you, man, I can't think of the word. Not sabotaging you. That's not the word I'm looking for, but not being that person that's pulling you down instead of lifting you up.
Right. And one of the reasons, and this is one of the way God dealt with me, one of the reasons I find it easier to say to my husband, okay, we talk about it. This is how I see it. This is how he sees it. We don't agree, but I can say, I respect you and trust you as the head of our household, even though I don't agree. You have the final say. One of the reasons I can say that is because immediately my mind always goes back to Adam and Eve. With that, God gave the commandment to Adam. He gave the command to Adam, and he told Adam, don't eat of that tree. Mm-hmm. And it was Eve in her own thoughts and being deceived by the serpent. She's the one that brought that fruit, to Adam. And Adam partook, he stood there and he took from it, he ate it as well. So guess what then? The curse didn't come when Eve ate. Mm-hmm. It was once Adam did. Yep. And so with that, I always try to stand back and just think, not to say that God can't speak to me or use me or encourage me, and then especially if we get into the point, and that's a whole nother topic as well, our governmental callings of what God has called us, because God has ordained me as a prophet. And so there are some things that God would deal with me and I will understand, oh no, this is God. Mm-hmm. You need to listen to me. We have those conversations as well, but at the end of the day, that's why I tell David, no, I respect you as the head of the house, and again, then that's his opportunity to go up. Mm-hmm. That's his opportunity to go up. But yeah, so I can support it. I can, one thing I did think about in being supportive and not agreeing, not that I didn't agree, but it was one of those things I had to wait on. Okay. And that was in your position with work. Okay. I saw so much potential there. And I was like, okay, you're sitting here. You really need to be here. Go to the next level. Let's move it. Let's go to the next level, bring in more money, let's do it. And so I would encourage him. Dave was like, I don't want it. I don't want to do it. I don't want it. And so
I didn't.
So it was one of those things, I'm like, okay, God. So my support in that as well was, instead of going here, my support was, okay, let me go back before the Lord and let me pray and let me intercede for my husband and let me ask God, Lord, am I missing something? Is this the will that for his life? And if so, then Lord, you show it to him, and as you see, God revealed it, and I waited and I prayed and I supported you where you were.
Yeah. And then I finally took the position that they offered me and had been offering me for I don't know how many years. And all is well. All is wonderful, actually. What would you say to someone that is in a marriage or in a relationship that is struggling with their significant other, their spouse, their mate, that's not a supportive person, or they are not supportive and encouraging, or they don't understand what it means to be a support in a relationship? How do you weather that?
Phew.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I know you really are. That's one of those things. I mean, I believe that when some people, they just don't understand, or I won't say not capable of doing it, but excuse me, they may not understand how much is needed in the marriage, how much the spouse needs it. So my words, if I'm talking to the spouse who desires the support and is not getting it, my first thing is the change you want to see, you be that change. You be that example to your spouse. You encourage them, you support them. Because a lot of times what happens in a marriage is if one person's not doing it, then the other person's not either. Not saying that's every marriage, not saying that's all the time, and then the second part of that is, the spouse may be supporting in their way, in their love language. And you may not identify it as support. And you probably have heard me say this before. I know David and I've talked about it. When my dad was living, even with us growing up, my dad was not that, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. That wasn't my dad. That's not what we heard him say. But everything we needed, he provided. If it was something we needed, it was just very simple. My dad, here you go. What do you need? Here you go. So even though his words, I didn't feel or hear or think that that was support in his words, his actions were supporting me. So therefore people may sometimes support and you don't identify it as support.
That's a good point.
But I'm gonna bounce it back to you. Same question.
I would say, since you took it from the other person, I'll flip it over. The person that's not being supported. If you hear your mate saying that consistently, I would urge you to just truly listen. I think so many times we are so ready for a rebuttal. We're so ready to make our points that when we're having conversations, we don't listen. It's in one ear, out the other, or we're ready for that rebuttal that we can't even hear what that person is saying. And I think that you should always really listen to your spouse and what they're saying. And believe it or not, take notes. No, do it. Some people, I remember there was an instance where a couple they were having a tiff, and this person pulled out a piece of paper and was like writing notes as the other person was talking. And I was like, are they really writing notes to make a point? But I thought about it later. I was like, two things are wrong with that. One, you too busy writing, you're not listening to what this person is saying. But that's actually a good thing to be able to, meaning after the conversation, take notes, write stuff down, because in our everyday life, we just forget stuff. I put everything in my phone, everything, but just to listen to your spouse, honestly, put yourself in their shoes, ask them what it is that they believe support is. When they say you're not supportive, then ask them, what is it that I can do yeah, what does support look like to you? So I can do that. Because like you said, I may be trying to be supportive in my own way, and you're not getting it 100, you're not getting it at all. So ask just, what does that look like? Does that mean you want me to be your cheerleader? Does that mean you want me to, you know, do extra things around the house while you work on your vision, the thing that you're working towards? So really listen, take the time to listen, and realize that you do not know everything. Realize that you do not always know best. I keep it straight. I know when to sugarcoat and I know when not to, but I think a lot of times we just boils down to we don't listen. We don't, and we have to. We have to listen. We have to take notes. We have to pray about it, and then we have to make real changes. Put some action to it, and not just, oh yeah, I hear you, but okay, I hear you, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. One thing I'll say, and I think a lot of women probably could high five me on this, when there are when we have younger children involved in the marriage. A lot of times it is just assumed that the responsibility falls on the wife or the mother. I remember us having many conversations.
Yeah, she brought this up last
conversations.
Yes.
About she ain't never ready when it's time to go. Yeah, we talked about this.
I was bad. I know I was horrible. I was like, let's go.
But not taking into consideration that you have not done anything with the kids, that it was all me running around like crazy. And now I'm walking out the house, hadn't even combed my hair standing straight up on my head. And you and the kids look perfectly fine. And I'm looking crazy walking out the door, But I was just going to say, I think that a lot of ladies can high five me on that's probably especially dealing with the fact that, at the end of the day, your husband wanting to be intimate, and you have been you've gotten up, gone through your day, got the kids ready, got them off to school, get them home from school, you cooked dinner, you fed everybody, you got to now bathe everybody, get everybody ready for bed. You've gone through your full routine, and by the end of the day, she is tired, exhausted, and then now all of a sudden here you come getting in the bed, want to rub, So my thing is, if you want that attention, be supportive.
Be a support. You have
take
to
some of that off of her plate. Honey, what can I do? Would you like me to cook? Would you like me to wash the dishes after dinner? Or while you're in the kitchen, would you like me to go in and bathe the kids? Would you like me to do, whatever, run the water, whatever? Because David would tell you, when the children were little, they could be in the room with David, and I could be in the bathroom or somewhere else, and they would get up out of the room where he was and come and find me to ask me something. But over the years we had to learn, we've learned since then, though.
Absolutely.
Which is why now we can share, with somebody else to say, don't make this mistake, don't do what we did in that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. We were talking about being supportive in ventures, but being supportive around the house is so necessary, being a support, because you've got to lift each other up. And, intimacy and sex is very important to every relationship. And for a lot of men, it doesn't click to be helpful. We're tunnel vision. A lot of times, I think a lot of men just have tunnel vision, and they're just looking for this one thing. So, okay, my job is to go to work, take up trash, whatever, and they don't venture to do anything else. But you have to do other things in the relationship, do laundry, clean the bathroom, do the dishes, cook dinner.
So sexy to me. Makes me feel vulnerable.
But I do all of those things, because I know that you like that. And not just that I know that she likes it, but I know that it's taking weight off of her. I go out to work, she works from home. Just because she works from home, she's still working. You know, somebody was like, well, you've been at home all day. Yeah, she's been at home all day on her computer. You know, she's still clocked in. She's still working. She's still doing her thing. So when I can't come home, you know, take out the trash, I might clean the kitchen, I might cook dinner, you know, but whatever, because we are a team.
Exactly.
And in every team, you have to support one another.
And then, ladies, you want to know how you can be supportive of him in that moment? Let him know, I don't care how much he missed wiping down and cleaning or sweeping or whatever. Let him know
So I be
that
missing
was,
stuff.
I didn't say that. But just let him know, oh my goodness, thank you. That is, oh my goodness, that floor is so clean. Oh my goodness. We could almost eat off of it, baby.
Nah, don't go that far.
Can't nobody clean a floor like you. I'm exaggerating it, but you know what I'm saying, though. But really, if I turn around and criticize it, though,
then
you missed all of this, you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right, then guess what? He ain't gonna do it again. Yeah.
He is not going to do it again. It's like, why bother? If I can't do it right, then why am I going to do it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to help. And then you criticize the help. So it's like, it doesn't work. But while you were talking,
okay, what?
I thought of a time where I didn't feel supportive, but then that changed.
Okay, we're about to learn something tonight. Here we
You
go.
already know. Once I tell the story, I'm about to learn something.
All right, talk to me.
So, parenting. She talked about me not getting ready, helping the kids get ready. I feel like there was a time in our marriage where she didn't understand the importance of, she understood the importance of a father
in the life of his son.
But she didn't understand what a man brings to parenting. And it was, I didn't feel, for a while, I did not feel support from my wife when I disciplined or corrected the kids or called them out on something, you know, and it was just like, not everything is nurturing, you know, not everything is hugs and kisses, you know, and as we grew in our relationship, we had those conversations, and that obviously changed over time, you know, but I remember there were times with my son, you know, men know men. And I was like, that boy is straight lying to you. No, honey. And I'm like, I'm about to jack him up. No, honey. You know, it is just like, oh, she didn't get it, you know, and understanding that you both have different roles. Absolutely. But at that time, I did not feel as though she supported the decisions that I made when it came to parenting the kids.
Yeah, I didn't get it. That was definitely a big lesson I had to learn, you know, with the parenting, because I was always with them, you know, then I felt like, well, you've been at work all day. How you gonna now come in and do yada, yada, you know? So, but I did have to learn, because there is absolutely things that a father teaches with his son and his daughter. You know, absolutely, there are things that a father teaches that a mother won't do. You know, of course, mother, even though I was the disciplinarian in the household because I was with them all the time, and I refused to have a child that I was scared of. So therefore, I had to be the disciplinarian. Yes, I would pull those glasses down and deal with things. But I'm just saying, with that, I still
our son was taller than her at 8 years old.
Oh my goodness, somewhere around there, yeah. So, but I had to make sure he understood that from the feminine side of me, that I'm not going to be afraid of you as my child. But then with that, I also had to learn that even though I was with them all the time, there are just some things that as a nurturer, as a mother, that I could not teach them. It absolutely took their father to be able to instill some things in them. So I had to learn that, to step back out the way and allow him to be daddy. I know that he loves them. So he wasn't going to do anything to hurt them or to kill them or anything, you know, because of the love that I know. Sometimes I was like, whoa, Lord, help me. But I had to pray through that, and I had to learn that, to be able to be open to allow him to father his children.
You know, and when you are in that situation and you don't feel the support from your spouse, for me, it was, well, why bother? You know, I didn't feel valued as a father. So then I started to not feel valued as a husband. I felt like my opinion didn't matter in anything. So why even bother to give an opinion? And you see, it just creates this cycle,
a domino effect,
like a snowball, and things just keep coming up and you don't deal with stuff. And then you realize you're arguing over stupid stuff because the root of it was no support in the relationship, and those are it brings out your insecurities. This drama, the stuff that you're already dealing with becomes amplified because you're not dealing with the situation, and so anybody that's in a relationship, married or not, if your significant other, your spouse, your mate is not supporting you, is not helpful, keep your head up. Don't get, it's easy to say don't get down, but look to God. God can teach you and show you how to work on yourself, not how you can fix the other person, but how God will work on you and help you deal with it. And God will work on them on their own level, their own time, their own speed.
Yeah, but communicate with them as well.
Let them
know this is what I need. I even said to David when we went on vacation a couple of in February, March. We went on vacation, and I had to say to him, this is what I need from you. On this trip, we're not talking about work. On this trip, we're not talking about ministry. I need your attention, 100% of your attention to be on me. And he heard me. He heard me. Matter of fact, we made it fun. We turned it into a game, and I was the one that broke the rule.
Right.
Before we even made it out of the state, I broke the rule, and there were consequences to it.
There were consequences.
So we made it fun. We made it a game that, I had to do something for him if I didn't, if I didn't, and vice versa. But
but it was actually a fun game because it was just like, we were like, anytime the other person brought up work or ministry, it was like a point, and whoever had the most points at the end was going to be the loser. But
not a loser.
Okay,
I need some support here.
A giver of something that they wouldn't normally give. No, but I, who is the workaholic that works the most, I didn't mention work at all.
Not one time. I was so proud of him, and he was so attentive, and he heard my request. He supported me in my request. So my point in all of that was, if you need something, express it. Your other person your spouse cannot read your mind.
They ought to know what I'm thinking.
Your spouse cannot read your mind. So you have to be open and honest and say to them, this is what I need.
They know better.
No, not always. Not always.
I don't understand why they don't get it.
Well, you may not understand, but they didn't get it. So tell them again.
There you go. Because I thought them same thoughts. Like, why does this woman not get it? But then I had to go to God.
Because I didn't get it.
Right. And she just didn't get it. So I had to explain it to her, but we all come from different backgrounds, different ideas, different thoughts. And so what seems simple to me may not be simple to her. And what seems simple to her may not be simple to me. Absolutely. What may be common sense or uncommon sense, as I call it, ain't that common, so you really have to communicate. So the takeaways, I guess, for today would be communication. Number one. Not just don't talk at each other, talk to each other. Communicate, listen, be able to express how you're feeling, what your thoughts are, and what you need, and the other person listen.
And let me say that, and make sure you're heard. So David was saying, listen, and if you're the person talking, make sure you're heard. We used to do this exercise. Now when we communicate, we don't have to, use it, but where one person would make a statement, and it can't be a paragraph, ladies. You know how we can talk. So it couldn't be a paragraph. We make a simple statement, and then the other person had to respond with what they heard me say. And then if he says what he heard me say and is not what I meant, then I would say the statement again, may have to reword it to tweak it. But then again, we did not come off of that point until I knew that he heard me clearly. And then after that, you switch, and it's the other person's opportunity to talk.
It's a great technique.
Yeah, beautiful. It is, because it makes you not think ahead, like you talked about, having that rebuttal of whatever to say, or trying to think of your next statement, but you're thinking really of what did they just say to me. Okay, sorry, you had to throw that in.
No, that was excellent. You know, it is what it is. You know how we do. Trying to think of any other takeaways. Know the difference between being a support and being supportive. Understand that being supportive is just encouraging, being that cheerleader, but being a support is holding the weight. You know, hold the ladder for whatever they're doing. Be the wall, be the beam in the house. You know, and I would say, know what you need. You got to know what you need in order to express what you need. You know, so
good point.
Anything from you, my love?
What you said?
What I said?
That was good.
That was good.
That was good. Was that supportive? Yeah, communicate. Like I said, just communicate. Be there for each other. Love each other, and be that support for each other. It makes a world of difference in your marriage. It does.
Okay. Well, I believe that we're done for the night.
When we drop the mic like that?
No, don't drop the mic.
Okay.
So we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for watching. We thank you for joining us. We pray that you did get something out of the podcast, that you got something out of what we talked about this conversation today, and keep having happy marriages. Keep talking to each other. Keep flirting with each other. Hey, keep communicating. Keep loving on each other. Keep getting better every day, and just remember to go up. Talk to God. Communicate with Him. Prayer is just simply a conversation. So have those conversations that you need to have with God on how you should handle situations, what He wants you to learn out of the situation, not what your spouse is not doing in the situation, but what you need to do in the situation, and allow God to work it all out, because He can and He will.
Absolutely.
Because He is able.
Well said.
Well said. Well, we thank you again. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
You got to give the information. What is the YouTube channel? Mackie's Marital Motivation. Is that right? It's the YouTube channel.
There she go again. There she go again. If you look at that little white heading right there, they got the green and right under it, it's got the @ That's the @ Instagram. You type that in anywhere, it's pretty much going to take you to us. You see the logo in the corner? That corner right there? If you see that logo, that's us. So Marital Motivation with the Mackies on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and YouTube. And if you have any questions, you want us to talk about a particular topic, you can email us. You can email us. See, now I mess with you. I'm about to forget the email. Mackie's Marital Motivations at gmail.com. Mackie's Marital Motivation at gmail.com. You the one want to do all these M's in the name. Got us all tongue tied every single time we say it. But you can check us out. You can send us a direct message on a DM on any of the platforms. That stuff comes straight to us immediately. I try to respond within an hour or so. So like I said, we would love to hear from you as far as what topics you want us to talk about. Some testimonies, some great things that have happened in your marriage. We want to hear some good reports, and we want to be able to help, but we know that God is God and He can work out everything. And we love, and God is love.
Absolutely. And we're probably going to bring some other couples on here with us. We're going to talk to some other people and all of that kind of stuff, just to kind of keep it rolling. But just know, more than anything, we love you all. We're praying for your marriages. We just want to be an encouragement to you.
Absolutely. So we love y'all. Have a wonderful night.
Love you. See you next time.